A title: Working with Expert Witnesses. A disclaimer: the opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the U.S. Department of Justice. This project was supported by the U.S. Department of Justice's Elder Justice Initiative and the Office on Violence Against Women. Portions of this program are protected by copyright. If you would like to copy, display in a public setting, adapt, or distribute this program, please contact elder.justice@usdoj.gov.
What advice would you give to prosecutors to help prepare experts before they go to trial to make that be a smooth and effective process?
Dr. Harry E. Morgan, President, the Center for Geriatric and Family Psychiatry, Glastonbury, Connecticut.
I think early on there has to be a clarity that I do understand their case and have an opinion that's relevant. It doesn't have to agree with them, but it has to be relevant. It may help them decide not to prosecute. It may also help them decide very much that they have a case to proceed with. And then it has to be very important for the prosecutor to really even share their weak spots with me. I have early in my career been burned by a prosecutor or two who kept a secret. And then on the stand, I suddenly was exposed that I knew nothing about that line of thought. So I think it has to be a very open discussion, and I have to come to a conclusion based on my best medical opinion and not by a totally slanted opinion that does not share all information. So I urge openness about documents, openness about all the material at hand. And if we work together, we also have to talk about the finances and the time restraints. And that may lead us to targeted initial reviews. And as long as I have free access to explore beyond that, based on how I see the case developing.
Dr. Veronica Lofaso, Director of Geriatric Medical Education, New York Presbyterian Hospital / Weill Cornell Medical Center.
The thing that's been the most helpful for me is to be reminded that one answers the question in the simplest way, with the least amount of jargon, and without extraneous information that's not needed. So to focus us on just answering the question at hand. And I think it's also important, you know, we as physicians are not actually in the business of trying to put everybody in jail. And so I think it's important to come into a courtroom to present the facts as they are, without a hidden agenda and without a particular axe to grind. I think we need to come in, state the facts that are in a, you know, impartial and dispassionate way. And for some of us, that's harder than for others. So I think it's important for prosecutors to sort of reel us in a little bit and keep us on track in terms of just answering the questions, just presenting the medical facts, and not necessarily editorializing our opinions.
Ricker Hamilton, Deputy Commissioner, Maine Department of Health and Human Services.
The best advice I would give is to bring us in and run us through what's going to happen. We're the same. If we haven't been in a courtroom before, I've been in that situation, how we can answer the questions. I think we'd have a tendency to go on and provide more information than the question is. Practice about the question, the information. Practice in a way that's going to be helpful for the prosecutor, get the information out to help the older victim. What's legal to say, what's not, to help me understand what I might think, what I might feel, as opposed to what I know. Help me to take a look at my documentation. Is it up to par? And if it's not, what it is I can say about it or not. What I can reference. There may be a lot of things that I know, but what within the court and prosecution stream, what can I reference? Is there documents I have that I can talk about? Is there things that I've heard? What's hearsay, what's not? I wouldn't assume that we've been in a courtroom, and I wouldn't assume that we've had practice and are comfortable with this. It's like anything else. If it's new, it's always helpful to have someone run it through it so that we know the standard to which we need to testify and respond to, as opposed to being not much of a help because we keep going down roads that we shouldn't do.
And how about someone like you that's actually been asked to testify as an expert witness at a sentencing hearing, for example? Again, how could a prosecutor help prepare you or another similar expert witness for that purpose?
They were able to give me an outline when I said, well, this is what I can talk about, the dynamics, how it affects people. They were able to work with me on my outline in the short period of time that I have when I'm testifying and sentencing. What are the points that I need to hit? What are the points in the dynamics? What are the points in all of the issues that we know in elder abuse that are specifically related to this case and in this sentencing? It was invaluable to me. And every step of the way I learned again, none of us know it all. We always make mistakes, we always want to get better, but there's always something that we can learn. And law enforcement and prosecutors have been some of my biggest teachers.
Laura Mosqueda, Professor of Family Medicine and Geriatrics, Keck School of Medicine, University of Southern California.
It was very helpful in that you talked to me both about the general points that we were going to be trying to make and what we were expecting the defense might question. And so it provided me, again, because this is not something I really do for a living, it provided me with some idea about how I was going to be questioned. And it gave me the mental preparation for how folks might be coming at me, what I needed to be very clear about, what might need clarification for the jury, and those sorts of things. I need to be rock solid certain about what I believe and why I believe it. And that makes it so much easier than when I'm on the stand, that when the defense asks me, I just have it very clear in my mind why I believe in the answer that I'm providing.
Paige Ulray, Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, Seattle, Washington.
You were very consistent in using plain language and talking regular talk when you describe what happened. You weren't using fancy medical terms that people didn't understand. It was like you were sitting there in the witness stand looking to the jury and telling them the story in a way that they understood. And I think that was incredibly effective. And I think I got that from you. I learned how to ask those questions that in a way that also were not too technical and too removed, so that I think we ended up having a conversation at trial that was understandable and clear, where you told this very compelling story.
And I think you should expect an expert to be able to do that, to explain things in a way that really the lay public can understand. And it doesn't dumb anything down, but it's rare that we have to use a lot of medical language, and when we do, we should be able to explain it quite clearly.
I think one thing that some prosecutors sometimes believe is they can kind of just get you up there and put you on the stand and press a button and get you to talk about what happened. Can you just talk about whether or not we can just basically get a case, hire you, and expect that you can testify about that neglect or abuse?
It sets up a real struggle, I would say, for somebody like me. Again, I think a lot of the geriatrician experts are not professional experts, which is a good thing. And so it does then mean that we need a little extra care and feeding. We need to be brought through, what's this going to look like? What's the experience going to be like for you? What are the kinds of questions that might be coming at you? How do you want to understand it? How can you, the expert, help me, the prosecutor, ask this question and frame it in a way that will get to the point that you're trying to make? That preparation is absolutely key, and I think it makes us be more helpful to you as a witness. So we're not just sort of deer in the headlights on the stand, and then the defense goes at us and we're feeling attacked and don't really get what this whole process is like. The preparation is extremely important.
Logos appear. NCAL, www.ncall.us. Terra Nova Films, terranova.org. Funded by the U.S. Department of Justice Elder Abuse Initiative and the Office on Violence Against Women, www.justice.gov/elderjustice.